Now we are.
There we go.
Awesome. Well, welcome to my channel, Tony, the Phantom of Haunted Hill.
Oh, awesome. Thanks for having me, Mike.
Thank you for coming on here.
For sure.
Tell us about how you started SOV Horror.
Yeah, so SOV Horror started because I was making a documentary about the shot on video kind of film scene. And I was working on this documentary for quite a while and started a website to kind of go along with it and all of that, SOVHorror.com. And what happened was while I was kind of still working on this project that ended up getting switched to a web series, I came across an old shot on video movie that had never been released before called Metal Noir. And so I discovered this movie and I absolutely fell in love with this movie. It was so awesome. And I'm like, people need to see this movie. And so I got a hold of the director through some mutual friends and we struck up a deal. And that was our first DVD release. And ever since then, I think we've done over 40 releases now. So that was kind of the beginning.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. How has it been going?
It's been going pretty good. I mean, it's a little slow going sales wise. I mean, we're a pretty small company and I mean, it's pretty much myself and a couple artists who I work with. And but sales are slowly picking up and it's just, trying to promote, trying to get people to find out about it, which is not always easy when you're just kind of a small one-man operation.
Yeah. Okay. Tell us, well, SOV shot on video.
Yes, shot on video.
Like the movies like Sledgehammer.
Mm-hmm.
What else do I got here? I got a
Oh, there's a ton. Most people know like Video Violence or Redneck Zombies, movies like those. Mr. Ice Cream Man.
damn, I got some over there, but I can't find them real quick. So Splatter Farm.
Ladder Farm, another classic.
I
Yeah.
like that one.
Oh, that one's great. Yeah.
That was a shocker.
Uh-huh.
So what kind of films do you put out? Obviously horror.
Yeah, so we mainly focus on shot on video horror movies. We have put out a few other movies. So we put out like a 16 millimeter juvenile delinquent / horror film called Blood Orgy, The Leather Girls. And we also have another film release we're working on right now, which is an action movie. So, and I've also put out a couple comedies. I put out a comedy called Stoinky Beach. And so, it's not strictly just horror, but for the most part, we specialize in shot on video horror stuff. But I'm pretty much open to release anything as long as it's a cool movie. That's kind of like my one rule is like, I have to like the movie. If I don't like the movie, I'm not going to put it out. So
That's like it's
yeah.
like me with the radio show. If I don't like the music, I'm not playing it.
Yeah, especially, I mean, with movies, I mean, these DVD releases, I mean, I do everything. So I do all the special features, the trailers, creating the graphic design for the wraps. And so it's like, you really have to love a movie to spend 3 to 6 months on production on something, otherwise, why are you wasting your time,
Yeah. And I got some from you.
Nice.
And I actually wanted to order some more from you, but I'll have to talk with you off the interview here.
Cool. Yeah, no problem.
Some questions. But
for sure.
You do seem to have really beautiful chicks.
Yeah.
Like her and Zambarella.
Uh-huh. Yeah, those are both good friends of mine.
And they host these movies, right?
Yeah, so those particular two, the Zambarella movie and the Natasha Knighty movie are both movies that I produced and also directed some of the segments in. So those are actually original content that we created for the label. Most of our titles, though, are movies that are older films from like the 80s, the 90s, stuff like that. But every so often we have produced a few newer movies to release.
Yeah, and who are some of the directors that you deal with? I know Gore.
Yeah, so we've worked with a ton of different directors. Right now, I've been doing a lot with Ron Ford. We've been releasing a lot of his movies. People probably know him for a lot of his titles he did for Dead Alive home video, like Dead Time Tales. Gosh, so many movies. The Crawling Brain, Dead Season, Hollywood Mortuary. So we've been working with him lately on some releases. We've worked with, gosh, so many great directors. David R. Williams, who did Metal Noir, John Streisig, who did The Spirit Gallery, Chris LaMartina, who people might be familiar with a WNUF Halloween special. We put out his first two movies. So, I mean, we worked with a ton of filmmakers, you know, like I said, we got 40 plus titles at this point. So it's really cool getting to work with these people and, you know, kind of work with them on the releases, because I do work really closely with the filmmakers on the releases.
Yeah, and it's awesome, man.
Yeah.
Like I love the movies that I've gotten. I also got this one.
Oh, nice. Yeah, Joe Sherlock. Yeah, how can I forget him? We've put out a ton of his stuff, and such a fun filmmaker, such a goofy, fun, cheesy B movies, you know.
Yeah. Well, people, I would think one thing that I always can't stand is when people will say, "Oh, this is a really bad movie." Especially horror movie hosts do that all the time. We're gonna watch this crappy movie, and then
Right.
they show a great movie.
Right.
In my opinion, like Invasion of the Saucer Men or
Oh,
something
sure.
like
Yeah.
that. That to me is a great. That movie scared the shit out of me as a kid.
Right.
It's forever one of my number one films. What do you
You
mean?
know, it's so funny you mentioned that one. I'm not even joking, Mike. I plan to watch that one tomorrow for my Halloween season.
Oh, cool.
I love that one too. It's a great movie.
Yeah, how can you not love brain monsters?
Yeah. But I agree, you know, there's a lot of people are really quick to put down a lot of films, you know, because maybe they have low production values or whatever.
Yeah.
But, you know, I always like to say, to me, the only way you make a bad movie is if it's boring. You know, it's if your audience wants to fall asleep, to me, that's a bad movie. Not, hey, maybe your actors aren't the greatest. You might not have that much production value. Maybe the special effects aren't the greatest. But if you're entertained, that's what matters, you know, at the end of the day. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's what I say, man.
Right.
But then again, I also have, you don't put out movies like this. So, you know, I don't think you do, like this one, Squirmfest.
Oh, is that some kind of weird Japanese
Oh yeah, eating
extreme gore type stuff?
poop for real.
Oh, wow, yeah.
Dude shits on this girl's face and she's loving it, and then she eats his asshole out.
You know, I did get
You
offered
don't
an
do
adult movie at one point, and we did turn it down.
those.
But I mean, I'm not opposed to putting out anything, but I don't know much about putting out shit eating
I
movies.
know.
That might be a little past my thing.
No, it was horrifying. Then they took it and they fried it up in the frying pan.
Oh gosh.
They were sitting there snacking on it. And usually, you know, like in Tumbling Doll of Flesh, you could tell that the actresses are not having a good time.
Right.
But in Squirmfest, she's having a blast.
Yeah, some people are into that stuff.
And that can't be healthy for you.
Oh no.
Gee. All right. I want to, Gore Filth. I couldn't remember his last name. I want to get some of his films off of you. That was one of my other questions. But so you have directed films yourself then, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. So the Zombarella movie is pretty much almost everything in there is either directed by me or Tim Ritter. So Tim Ritter, who did Truth or Dare, Critical Madness, and originally everything in that was directed by me, but unfortunately I couldn't license one of my shorts from one of the distributors. And so I asked him if he'd do something, and he made a short. And then he also ended up contributing some like fake commercials and stuff. So for people listening, those the Zombarella movie and the Natasha Knighty movie are kind of framed like old cable television shows. So there's like full on commercials and stuff like that. So yeah, Zombarella, I pretty much did most of the film is mine, and I also contributed a segment to the sequel, Natasha Knighty's Boudoir Blood. So yeah, I've directed a few things, but I've mainly in the film world, I've mainly been an editor. That's what I do as a day job. I work for Riff Tracks and I do editing for them. And I've also worked in the visual effects field in Hollywood. So I've worked on a lot of big movies in the past, and doing like visual effects in 3D. So
That's cool, man.
but low budget's where my heart is, that's SOV horror is where my heart is, hence why I do this. I don't really make much money off of it, but it's a way to kind of pay back the people who got me into the film industry, because when I was a kid, I grew up poor and no money, on welfare, and I never would have imagined I could make movies, you know what I mean? But I loved them so much. I loved horror movies so much. And I started seeing all these shot on video horror movies, and I was like, wow, my buddy's got a VHS camera. Let's start making some movies. And that's really how it started, was watching those shot on video movies really inspired me to pick up a camera and do it myself, and eventually went to film school and all that fun stuff. But if it wasn't for shot on video horror, I would have never went down this path for sure.
Yeah. What, you don't think you can be a Stanley Kubrick? Come on, man.
I wouldn't want to be a Stanley Kubrick. Some people think they're great artists, and I have no delusions of that about myself. I just like to make stuff that I would like to see. I'm not trying to do any hardcore social commentary or anything like that, even though I try to sneak some things in there, but yeah, definitely. I'm probably more Herschel Gordon Lewis or Ed Wood than Kubrick.
That's a good thing. Okay, I saw on your Facebook page that you had a band, and
Yeah.
you just pressed it onto vinyl. Why don't you tell us about that?
Yeah, well, that particular one was like a solo project I had years upon years ago. And I recorded like 3 or 4 little EPs and kind of self-distributed myself in the early 2000s. And recently I decided to get that pressed on vinyl just for myself, because I just thought it'd be cool to have a copy. And nowadays, there's companies where you can get it pressed pretty cheap, which is really cool. But I played in quite a few bands over the years. I was in a band called Cat Shit. I think you actually played Cat Shit on your show before.
Yeah.
And I was also in another band. Probably the biggest band I was in was a band called Gertrude Stein. And that was kind of like a noise rock band. I played guitar in that group. And, we did a small West Coast tour and stuff like that. And so don't do as much music anymore as I'd like to. And, hopefully with this COVID, hopefully dying down soon, I'd love to, convince some friends to play some music again.
Yeah, I know. I've been trying to start a grindcore band for a long time. I've got a Steve Eggs. He was in Schnauzer and Pile of Eggs. And
Oh, nice.
so he's well known in the grindcore circles. He said he'll do the high pitched shrieks in my band.
Nice.
But the problem is, everybody I ask, they're already in like 3 and 4 bands. Everybody in Cleveland is in multiple bands.
Right.
It's ridiculous. All I want to do is a recorded project.
Right.
Horror movies and
Mhm.
grindcore.
Yeah. Yeah, it's tough. I mean, it's kind of the same way out here in San Diego. I mean, everyone's, it was the same for me. I at one time was in like 4 or 5 bands at once, and it can be hard to manage all those, and let alone find someone who's gonna be really dedicated to your project.
Yeah. And also then, well, can people buy your vinyl record there? Are you selling it or no?
So not right now. If people reach out to me, I think I still have some Cat Shit vinyl records from back in the day left. We did a 12-inch split with another band called the Royal Shits. And I think I still have a box of those somewhere. So people, after this want to hit me up, you can find me at my website at SOVHORROR.com, or through Facebook, and people can reach out if they want any of that stuff. But I've been debating putting out some of the albums on maybe CD or something like that. If people are interested. I mean, I've done so many different music projects over the years, and for the most part, most of them were like my music, so I own the copyright on most of them. You
Yeah,
know, so I even had a grindcore band very briefly called
awesome.
Shankroid, which was a lot of fun. We were very brief though. I think we recorded like 5 or 6 EPs that probably all together run about 10 minutes, like a proper grindcore band would.
I know, man. I played on my show grind show last week, 99 songs
Wow.
in 4 hours.
Right.
So
Like those old what were those blurg copper compilations
yeah,
where
yeah,
it's like 50 songs on a 7 inch.
yeah, yeah, and they're all like 1 second songs, two.
Right.
So, okay, well, I guess since we're talking about music, my friend Jim Kanya, who had passed away,
Yeah.
you said to me that he was in a movie that you have available.
Yeah, so we actually just
Trailer for it.
right here. We just put this movie out this month. It's called Metal Maniac. And yeah, Jim Kanya from Nunslaughter and a ton of other great bands. He's pretty much the main actor of the film. So
Yeah.
and he does a great job. It's pretty much about he plays this guy who is kind of disenfranchised because metal is no longer what it used to be. And so he gets a bunch of body parts, puts them together, and creates this metal maniac to go around and kill all false metal and posers. It's a
Awesome.
blast.
Oh, I gotta see that.
And it has a really cool heavy metal soundtrack too. So there's a lot of like really cool kind of 80s like thrash metal and stuff like that, like Nasty Savage and some other bands in there. So it's pretty cool.
That's cool, man. I did see another movie Jim was in. It was some sort of a bit vampire movie that I think some people in Ohio filmed it. It was the most boring movie I ever seen. It was horrible. Oh my god. It's that cliche of that, like what is that? What We Do in the Shadows. Did you ever see that?
I haven't seen it. I think I've heard about it though. That's like the reality show type
Yeah,
vampire
yeah,
show or something, right?
yeah, and it's really fucking funny. But this movie was dead serious, and it took.
Right.
I mean, it was okay. Eject. but but
Right.
it's good to know that Jim was in a good movie because I did watch the trailer for that, and it looked pretty cool.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun, and I'm actually I'm really excited. The director Susanna, and I'm gonna murder her last name, Kapatiski or something. I know I said it wrong, but her and her partner are just such cool people, and he's a guitar player in a metal band out there where they're from. And they're working on another movie right now, actually about Zodiac. I think that they're about wrapping that up right now, and I'm so excited to see what she does. I mean, the Metal Maniac was her first feature, so this is her follow up feature, and that's another thing I love is like working with these filmmakers who are newer filmmakers, and just seeing where they go with their talent, and
Yeah.
hopefully always up and onwards, to bigger, better things, even better than my label. I'd love to see these people get releases by Vinegar Syndrome or these other larger labels with bigger distribution channels.
Yeah. My friend Keith was supposed to get a hold of you. I'm not sure if he did. He does that Legacy Verse Productions.
I don't believe he did. No, no.
No, I told him to. Well, anyway, there's a legend in our midst here in Ohio. Rico, he was in Wimp. You've heard of Wimp?
I've not heard of Wimp. No.
That was a shot on video. Well, that it's got a cult following. Like
Wimp.
when I
I'd
was,
love to see it.
yeah, I wonder if it's online or if I could make you a copy. But it's great. He gets brainwashed by his brother to become tougher, so that people quit picking on him. They're always calling him a wimp.
Okay.
But as his brother's, doing the hypnotizing, there's a gangster movie on the TV, and he's
Oh,
and and so he takes what, the extremity of what's on the TV, and anyone who calls him a wimp, he kills them.
nice.
My
Sounds
favorite
good.
my favorite scenes when he grabs the girl in the his girlfriend in the bathroom and smashes her head repeatedly against the sink.
Nice.
Hilarious. Well, I wish you did know about him, but yeah, I only asked because it seems they have a cult following, so I thought maybe you
Yeah.
might have heard of it.
No,
I'd
I
love,
haven't, but it sounds a lot of fun. I'd love to see it. I'd love to see it.
yeah.
There's a lot of good Ohio filmmakers. I mean, I've worked with a few now. I've worked with Henrik Kudo, who's out there, as well as Matthew Brassfield, another Ohio filmmaker. So
Do you know Christina and Ray?
I do not know.
They do the Indie Gathering Film Festival. They
Okay,
they do a lot of movies and stuff, and
nice.
so oh well. Okay, well, I'm not sure how long we've been going here. I know it's gonna. This is a free Zoom, so I put 45 minutes on our interview. Have we gone
Right.
45 minutes?
No, we done. Looks like 22.
Oh, really? That's it?
Yep. Yep.
All right. Well, let's see. What made you a fan of horror? I'm sure it was as a young kid.
Yeah, so I mean, I think like a lot of kids, I mean, I just kind of, I mean, my first memories of anything, I guess, kind of horrific was like really being into dinosaurs as a kid, you know, and like thinking like dinosaurs are really cool and imagining dinosaurs, ripping people apart and stuff like that. I just always had a morbid sense of humor. And what really got me into horror movies hardcore, like I would watch horror on TV, like the classics. They play like Frankenstein and Night of the Living Dead, a lot of PD stuff, they would play on UHF TV back then, way before the cable days. I'm sure you
Yeah.
remember those.
Yeah.
And but eventually I got a VCR, which was like the coolest thing in the world back then. And I remember my mom and her friend had bought out like a small video store, and they were selling tapes at a swap meet. And my mom said, if you're a good kid today, you can have one of these tapes afterwards. And so I'm going through all the tapes, I'm looking, and I found a copy of Dawn of the Dead, and I'm like, I want this movie. And they're like, well, if it doesn't sell, you can get it. And of course, someone bought it. Someone came by and bought Dawn of the Dead. And so I ended up going with my second choice, which was the movie Troll. And that was the beginning. That was my first VHS I ever got. I mean, now I probably have like 5,000 VHS. I have a ginormous collection. But
Yeah.
after that, I was just hooked. I mean, it was like, hey, let's go to every rental store in town. And I mean, at one point, I think I had like 10 video store memberships. And my poor mom would just drive me around to every video store because I had to see every horror movie. I mean, I was just obsessed. I
Yeah.
didn't have many friends and stuff, so I just sat and watched horror movies all day.
I would always force my brother to watch them with me.
Nice. Yeah, my family wasn't into really horror at all. Even today, I've been conning. My mom recently moved back in with me, and so she's been watching some of these Halloween horror films with me and my wife, and I've been having to tread a little lighter on what I play because I don't want to scare her.
Yeah. It's funny because where I live now, this dude who was my neighbor from this place that I lived at years ago, he lived in the same building. He was my neighbor. He said he liked horror movies. So I showed him Joe D'Amato's Beyond the Darkness.
Oh,
That's one of my number one favorites. That and Lucio Fulci Zombie are tied for number one.
for sure, great movies both.
Yeah, but I showed it to him, and man, he took offense. Like, I don't think he could wait to leave, and he let me know that he was offended.
Oh wow.
And it's like, man, I thought you liked horror, man. This is as fucking horrifying as you're gonna
Yeah.
get. This is
Yeah.
scary as fuck because it's so realistic. The storyline's intelligent. you know.
So good. I
Yeah,
love Beyond the Darkness. I first saw that. I bought that on VHS under the title Buried Alive.
yeah, I
It was the first
remember.
time I saw it, the old Thriller video.
Yeah.
And gosh, I mean, yeah, the first time when he pulls those guts and throws them in the bucket, you're just like, wow, the Goblin score. You're just like, this movie is great. I
Yeah,
remember that one shocked me a lot too when I first saw it, and it's
yeah,
definitely one of my favorites as well.
yeah. And sweet, lovable Iris.
Right? Sweet, lovable Iris.
Okay, I can't really think of anything else. Is there anything you'd like to say to people? How can people get a hold of you?
Yeah, so if anyone wants to get a hold of me, you can contact me at sovhorror@gmail.com or check out my website, sovhorror.com. I'm also on Facebook, Tony Masiello, Masiello. And yeah, I mean, I'm always down to talk to people when I have time. And, if anyone has any questions or anyone, wants recommendations on what movies to pick up from the catalog or anything like that, I'm always around. Like I said, 40 plus movies, all independent, all crazy, weird horror movies. Like I said, I'd only put it out if I like it. So,
Yeah,
I definitely urge people to check it out and help support a small business because, trying to keep these films alive and it's not easy, it's definitely not easy and it's not cheap, it's very expensive to run this business. But I do it because I love it and I just hope that hope people watch these movies because ultimately that's what I want. I just want to see people watch and enjoy these movies just like I do. So
yeah. So we get plenty of boobs and blood.
oh yeah. All the good stuff.
Yeah. All right, Tony. Well, thank you very much for coming on.
Oh, for sure. Thank you, Mike.
And I hope you hear from people, man. This is awesome.
No, for sure. Thank you. It's nice to finally talk to you. We've kind of
I
we've
know.
talked online for quite a few years now, so it's pretty cool.
Yeah. All right, Tony. Well, you take care and
You too.
watch the video when it's up.
Will
Put
do.
it up tonight. So
Nice. I'll help spread it around too, for sure.
okay, and everybody, give this video a like, subscribe to the channel, and spread the word.
Please do.
I don't know how many videos to make before I give up, but I'm going to keep going on. All right, Tony. Well,
Well,
take care, man. Thanks a lot.
you too. Thanks so much, Mike.
Okay, bye.
Bye bye.